So we can discuss about the theories on dividend policies. In this video, we are going to discuss more on Modigliani and Miller theory. First of all, we can have a close look onto the different theories on dividend policies. Basically, they are known as dividend models. The first one is Modigliani-Miller irrelevance theory. Second one is Walter's dividend theory. Third one, Gordon's model. Fourth one is residual theory. Fifth one is dividend preference theory. And the last one is bird in hand theory. We can move on to the Modigliani-Miller irrelevance theory. As the name suggests, it is an irrelevance theory. Modigliani and Miller says that the firm's dividend policy has got no effect on the value of the firm. That means the dividend policy is irrelevant to the value of the firm. The theory states that the firm's dividend policy has no effect on the value of the firm or shareholders' wealth. And we know that when a firm pays dividend and keeping less retained earnings, definitely the demand of shares increases. How it happens? Because consider a company or a firm which is paying regular dividend to its shareholders. Normally, investors will be attracted to that company's shares because the investors who are investing in that company's shares will get regular dividend. So normally the demand of such shares will increases because of the company is paying regular dividend to them. That's why the demand of shares will increases. As a result, the price of the shares will increases. As a result, the value of the firm will also increases. This is a common rule. But the Modigliani Miller says that whatever value has increased because of paying more dividend and keeping less retained earnings will be set off by either these two ways. The two ways is following. That is, the first one is a firm pays dividend more. A firm pays more dividend and they are keeping less retained earnings. Definitely, they will lack funds. Shortage of fund will happen. So if shortage of funds is there, definitely the company will issue new shares for raising more money. So when new shares are introduced, that means there is an increased supply of shares will be there. So when increased supply of share, when the supply of the shares increases, normally the price of the share will decrease, and as a result, the value of the firm decreases. So whatever value has increased because of the dividend payment and by keeping less retained earnings will be get set off by because of the shortage of fund and by the issue of new shares. And the second way in which the value of the firm decreases is when the firm pays dividend and keeping less retained earnings, definitely shortage of fund will happen. And if the company is not preferring to issue new shares, then definitely they should raise fund through debt. Because fund is required, shortage of fund is there. So either they should issue new shares to raise fund, or otherwise they should raise fund through debt. So if they are considering debt for raising fund, definitely the risk perception of the shareholders will increases. As a result, the cost of equity will increases. As a result, the overall cost of capital K0 will increase, and that will leads to the decrease in the value of the firm. So whatever value has increased because of the payment of dividend will get set off by either these two reasons. That means the firm's value and the dividend policy has got no connection at all. So the Modigliani and Miller says that the dividend policy is irrelevant and the dividend policy has no effect on the value of the firm or shareholders' wealth, because a company which is paying dividend or not paying dividend, the value will be the same. That is the conclusion of Modigliani and Miller theory. And now we can see some of the major equations for Modigliani and Miller irrelevance theory. See, there are mainly four equations. The first equation is P0 is equal to D1 plus P1 divided by 1 plus KE. And let's see the different terms. P0 means the market price at the beginning. That means the current market price. D1 is the dividend to be received at the end of the year. So the expected dividend. P1 is the market price at the end of the period. Not that P0 is the market price at the beginning and P1 is the market price at the end of the period. KE, we know that is cost of equity capital. The second equation is, we can get it from the first equation itself. P1 is equal to P0 into 1 plus KE minus D1. And third equation, V is equal to, value of the firm is equal to N plus M into P1. M means the number of shares to be issued or new or additional shares. N means the number of shares at the beginning. That means the outstanding number of shares which is already existing. P1 means the market price at the end of the period, and V is the value of the firm. And the last equation is M is equal to I minus E into I minus E minus N into D1 whole divided by P1. Here I means investment required and E means earnings expected. Now we are moving on to we are going to prove that the dividend policy has no effect on the value of the firm as per Modigliani-Miller theory by proving a problem. And for the assumptions of Modigliani and Miller theory, please refer your textbook. So we can see a question. The Liberty Finance Limited has 15,000 equity shares outstanding as on date. Current share price is 125 rupees. Expected dividend to be paid next year is rupees 5 per share. The firm has a project in hand requiring new investment of rupees 5 lakh. The shareholders' expected rate of return is 12%, and the firm expected to have net profit of rupees 2 lakh 50,000 at the end of the year. Illustrate the approach of dividend in this question. Lots of information is given, and we need to prove the Modigliani and Miller approach in this question. That means we have to prove that when the company is paying dividend and when the company is not paying dividend, the value remains same. We have to prove that thing. So we want to do it this question in two different ways. We have to do the part A, in which we say that the firm is paying dividend and we want to calculate the value, and part B, the pay is not paying any dividend and we want to calculate the value, and we want to prove that the value remains the same and hence the dividend policy has no role on the value of the firm. First of all, we can list out the information that is given in the question. The number of existing shares, that is N, is given, that is 15,000 equity shares are outstanding on date, so N is given. P0, the market price at the beginning, current market price is also given, that is P0 is equal to 125. D1, that is dividend to be received at the end of the year, that is also given, 5. I, investment required, is given, that is 5 lakh. KE, that means the cost of equity capital is also given, that is the expected rate of return is 12%. And E, the earnings expected, that is also given, the net profit, they are expecting a net profit of 2,50,000 at the end of the year. So these are the different informations which is given to us. So moving on to the solution part, we have to prove that with the given information, when firm pays dividend rupees 5 per share and when firm pays no dividend, the value of the firm remains the same. This is the task before us. This is how we want to prove the Modigliani-Miller theory. So we have to do this in two ways, two part. When firm pays dividend, D is equal to 5, and when firm pays no dividend, that D is equal to 0. We want to prove that the value remains the same. So we can move on to the first part. That means the value of the firm when dividend is paid. That means dividend of rupees 5 is paid. So we know that value, the equation is N plus M into P1. So all other data are given. We need to calculate M and P1 because N is already given in the question, that is 15,000. So we need to calculate P1 and M. So we know the formula that P1 is equal to P0 plus 1 plus KE minus D1. Substituting the values, we know that P0 is given in the question, that is 125. 1 plus KE is also given, that is 12%. That means 0.12 minus dividend is 5. So we will get the P1 value as 135. Now we need to calculate M. The equation for M is equal to I minus E minus N into D1 divided by P1. Substituting the value, I is already given, that is investment required is 5 lakh. E is also given, that is 2,50,000 minus N is given, that is outstanding number of shares is 15,000. D1 we know that is a dividend, and whole divided by P1 which is calculated above, that is 135. So we will get the value M is equal to 2407.4. that is 2407.4 is the value of M. Now we can substitute the value of M and P1 to the formula, that is value of the firm is equal to N plus M whole into P1 is equal to 15,000 plus 2407.4 into 135 is equal to 2,35,000 approximately. So the value of the firm when a firm is paying a dividend of rupees 5 is 2,35,000. Now we want to calculate the value of the firm when the firm is paying zero dividend. So value of firm when dividend is not paid. The equation is same, V is equal to N plus M into P1. We need to calculate M and P1. We know the equations. So P1 here, the value changes because the dividend value here is not 5, it is 0. So 125 into 1 plus 1.12 minus 0 is equal to 140. So P1 value changes into 140. Now we can calculate the M value, that is 5 lakh minus 2,50,000 minus 15,000 into D1 is 0 here, divided by 135. So the M value also changes, that is 1,785.71. Applying that into the formula, that is V is equal to N plus M into P1, we will get 15,000 plus 1,785.71 into 140 is equal to 2,35,000 approximately. So when the firm pays dividend of dividend is equal to 5, and when the firm pays a dividend and when the firm is not paying a dividend, D is equal to 0, the value of the firm remains unchanged, that is 2,35,000 itself. So thus when dividend paid or not, the value remained unchanged, that is rupees 2,35,000. So that means the dividend policy has got no role in the value of the firm. Whether a firm pays dividend or not paying dividend, the value of the firm remains unchanged. This is how we can prove the Modigliani and Miller theory. Thank you.